Hey guys, welcome back to Clockwork Dandy Noodles. We have another episode of 86. Sad Saturday. Does that work? Yeah, sad Saturday because 86 is giving us another episode. We are now on episode 4. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed. I have a fun video for Halloween coming your way, which is related to food and anime. Two things that I really like. It is my unboxing of the Tokyo Treat box, and it's in time for Halloween, so we have many spoops to be had. I'll try and maybe even pop on a bit of cosplay maybe as well, so show you guys that to make it even more fun. There's also a Discord channel too for you guys to get notified. That will also allow you to get a notification to your phone when my midway review drops, and this is coming up soon. I actually need to get my act together and start figuring out what's going to happen in it, because I've got to crown my top 3 OPs, EDs, and current standing of anime, including my hidden gem. The hidden gem I know, but I also want to put the hidden gem on the actual main list. I may have to come up with a second hidden gem. I want to crown as many animes as I can. The true hidden gem, which deserves really high ranking, I may need to get another one to fill in that gap just so I can actually have the true hidden gem actually on the list. Make sure you guys tune in for that, because you might be surprised by my list. The glitter is starting to slowly buff off some of the other animes, and we're now that far in that most animes that are airing this season have given us the main 3, and by this point you're supposed to give animes 3 episodes at least to decide if you're really going to like it or not, and generally by the 3rd episode you know you're not gonna. Or there's a few exceptions to the rule, but mainly it stands fast. And there's a few anime now which I may have started episode 1 with like an 8 or a 9, and it's slowly dropping. It's gonna be interesting to see what you guys think. Let's get going, because this is a very interesting episode. We get some actual information in regards to San Magnolia, and we even get some musings towards our long lost friend Vladilena, who we haven't seen in a while, and we still haven't seen because she's not in the episode. But it's nice to finally see some musings going her way. Shin has a new autograph pet. I don't think that's what he's there for, but I appreciate the fact that he's being used to just sign away all of these papers that he just doesn't want to read, and that's a bit that never changed, even from when he was giving reports to Vladilena. She had to actually bully him to make them more interesting. I think we've had another time skip. I can't be sure with these sections. We just have to presume that time has skipped, because time seems to have passed, because Wenzel's unit is now mentioned to have been quite seasoned. When we last saw Wenzel, she was just handed her unit, I think, and now it is now the unit which is seasoned, and it's also the ones which were developing these prototypes. Wenzel has now become quite the interesting character in her own military. We raise these very philosophical questions. Wenzel's unit is now got the highest kill count, which is great, but it's coming at the cost of a very high casualty. So they're getting a lot of losses, which makes me almost think back to Spearhead in that sense. The unit which was probably the most efficient, but also had the highest kill count for different reasons, obviously. But it feels like there's a lot of similarities and a lot of mirroring going on with the new life here in the Federal Republic, and the fact that this definitely mimics the Spearhead unit. Wenzel's unit is a divide in the military. Military has divided views. It's a good thing that they are killing a lot of Legion, but it's also viewed badly because you're killing off a lot of the fighters as well. Shin and the time skip, a slight time skip, he is now a lieutenant. He's obviously made his way up to lieutenant, and this was definitely going to happen at some point, because the guy is so used to leading units, so used to at least being the head, the forefront of people. It feels as well, if we're talking about mirroring and subtleties like that, it feels like he's also mirroring Vladilena, because it's similar to the role she had, because she was the one pulling strings and essentially moving chess pieces in the face of death, which he now is doing. He also mainly did that with Spearhead, because I think it's debatable how much he physically listened to her, because I think a lot of the time he could see things and he had a better, clear outlook. It seemed, if anything, he was perhaps putting her in a place where saying, well, I'm not listening to you because I know better. It feels like he's now taking on that role, but he also hasn't changed. You're taking the role, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't make you change very much. But we have a new sport this week, and Shin is the creator of this new sport. The new sport, catch the baby. Shin, I don't think it's wise that you apply for any babysitting roles. Yeah, I think maybe not your thing. It's definitely not going to be the biggest thing on your CV. Frederica going flying, that was a very fun sequence. Shin really can't handle kids. Also told of a very interesting phenomena that is appearing or has been created by the 86's arrival in the Federal Republic, and that is the fact that the misinformed public, I might call them misinformed, or they're just slightly uninformed, they believe that the 86 are really young kids. So they seem to be giving away teddy bears, and they're under the impression that they're very, very young. Obviously, they are young children. They are young children going out to fight. But the public, for some reason, think they're very young, creating these pages where they're sending them toys and teddy bears. And I don't think they're at that age. Shin's advisor, who we don't have a name for, this could also be a big forewarning, a big shadow over his head. I like him. I think he's fun, which is also dooming me because I think he's a very charming character, which makes me even more suspicious that he's probably not going to be around for very long. How he handles Shin, how he just handles him, but he's also following all of his rules. Please don't shoot the messenger kind of situation. When I wrote that, I also realised that saying that is probably a very bad thing because Shin's role is to put people out their misery so the Legion don't get hold of them, and I really hope that this doesn't become literal. It is a reunion of the 86 unit, so I guess for some period of time they have also not really seen each other. Even though this is a limited time period that they're not going to be there forever seeing each other, it must be really odd for them just to not see the people that you've lived with, fought with, been together with every single day, almost thinking that you're going to face death together, and they're now infrequent in your lives. They're not there every single day. It must be a very odd sensation. We are giving a little update on Marcel, aka Ginger, as I was calling him from last week. He's actually been wounded. We don't really see him in this episode because he's taken wounds and he's probably out of action for a little bit. But it is a fun reunion with Wenzel. Some key information comes out of this new reunion. I think it's a briefing. This might be a briefing. They are working on a Para-Raid substitute. Obviously, they have their Juggernaut substitute too, and apparently it's slightly faster, and for some reason it's now white. I swear that these machines were black before, but now they're white. They look even more like the Juggernauts, and I love how the fact that Shin just wins. He now just calls them Juggernauts. The Juggernauts are actually easier for me to say. I don't even want to attempt the German-sounding name that they're actually called by Wenzel. Another thing which comes out of this little sequence, I like the sequence, we get Wenzel's motivation. We actually learn about Wenzel herself. The reason why she was so driven to make these things faster is because her friends, the ones who she signed up with when she was a young child herself, she lost so many friends to slow old machines, so she was motivated to make them faster and always improve to save more lives around her. Because she's also a young soldier, it allows her to sympathise with the unit. The biggest bit of information that is not going to shock anybody in the audience, Sam Magnolia are not responding to their calls. They've actually tried to call Sam Magnolia. The Legion are rising up, preparing for a very big push by the sounds of things. So this is what we're now building to. And Sam Magnolia, well, they don't want to listen. They don't care. No one's probably even checking those phone calls, which is kind of sad. Sam Magnolia just doesn't care. We have got some fun information that 2 other countries alongside them have actually responded. So at least some of them are doing okay and some of them are responding. So not everybody's turned into Sam Magnolia. They're going to be their own doom. They are literally going to be the death of themselves. Shin gives a warning this week as well. He tries to give a warning on the numbers that are coming their way in this big attack. However, the Federal Republic, who don't know about the secret I can hear voices, I can actually hear the Legion, they simply brush it off. You're being overly prepared or you're over-exaggerating because you must be frightened. You must be paranoid that the same thing's going to happen and you're going to lose all these people. They are essentially brushing off their doom here. The Federal Republic, unlike Sam Magnolia, cares about its recon, so they have been doing their recon, which is weird that their recon teams aren't actually confirming the same numbers as Shin is actually hearing. But it's nice to see that the Republic actually is preparing for war. It's actually making the time to actually bother with my military, unlike someone we know. Some of the best advice that resonated with me a lot was the one that Frederica gave this week as well. It is better to have met someone, even knowing that death is eventually going to part you. I like this because I think I agree with it. It is better to have met somebody and shared some memories and at least got to know them, despite the fact that you know that one day you probably won't be together. Shin's negative view, however, we know where it's come from, so it's understandable that that's how he thinks. That's understandable with him. We are going to be introduced to Kiri a little bit more because it's a very key, important figure for Frederica. And this also goes into the backstory that we've probably all been waiting for, is Frederica's backstory and the Legion's backstory, because they are literally tight-knit here. Kiri Nozen has the same surname as Shin, and I think that's a little bit ironic as well, because apparently they're not directly related, but they are from the same clan. This idea of clan, which might give us an idea of what this world was like before everything. So at some point, all of these bloodlines must have been interlinked before they became these countries and the Legion arrived eventually. But I did find it was quite ironic because she even says they're not the same, but they are very, very similar. He was her knight. She's a princess. She must have had people to look after her and protect her. But it also made me think about Shin's brother. In the vision we see right at the start of this season, Shin's brother was seen as a knight in armor. This may just be a nice little link. I don't think there's anything too deep here. But it's interesting to see that the people in Nozen family essentially are knights to people. And I think with Shin, even though he doesn't realize it, he is still protecting the people around him. And even by shooting them, he is doing that act of kindness to make sure that they don't get abused by the Legion. He is still that knight in a sense. Just a dark knight this time. He's Batman. This is the story most of us have been waiting for. What the hell went wrong? Why did the Legion, who were actually created to protect the royal family, end up becoming humanity's biggest threat? I like the red flashing light outside the window because you can probably guess there's something going on out there. There's a vehicle out there or something is out there. But it adds this danger element, this filter into the story, because this story is where it all began. This is where the horrors began. Kiri died protecting Frederica because we found out that the Republic ended up rebelling against the royal family. This really reminded me of Russia. He, as her knight, or someone who was protecting the royal family, ended up killing the people of the Republic. I'm going to call it Republic because it's going to get confusing otherwise. And he killed those people, and that ended up sticking with him. That broke him. He ended up losing everything. He could only fight and focus on Frederica, protecting her. That was the only thing keeping him alive. Similar to Shin, who the only thing that was keeping him alive was the notion that he was trying to protect his friends. He was trying to make sure that they did not become Legion themselves. Fall of the royal family, which we end up going through, Frederica is announced as dead because it would be unsafe to say she's still alive because they would want her dead. They would definitely want her dead if it's anything like Russia at all. They come up with this cover story that she died and here's her mantle. She's definitely dead. A princess no more in a republic who did not want her alive. Very similar to Russia as well. Kiri, sadly, who was not clued in on this, in a very Romeo and Juliet style manner, he ends up going out into the battlefield with the Legion and just gives up, believes that he has failed to protect the one person that he is supposed to have protected, the only thing keeping him alive, so he gave up. He just died. It was similar to Shin initially thought he had lost everything because he no longer had that purpose driving him. When he was now allowed to live a normal life, he wasn't doing that one thing that was keeping him alive. But the difference between the two is Kiri gave up. He never knew that she was still alive, and that is sad, and that is very much Romeo and Juliet's plot right there, just minus the romance element. Feels more poignant, the run, don't fight. The moment when Frederica tells him that I don't want the people around me to die anymore. Saving my knight is not more important than you and your friends and your lives. Frederica is just a child who is so wise beyond her years, but it's obviously come at a very high cost. She is very reasonable. She's definitely growing on me, Normally young kids in animes or even real life TV shows, they just wind me up. I don't know. I think I'm anti-kids, I guess. I'm a really, really true old person. I'm like, grrr, even though I was a kid myself at one point. A topic that comes up again and again in this season is Shin's future, a future that he never realized he would ever even have. Where we finally get that brief memory of Vladilena, and we do miss you, Vladilena. I definitely miss you. Shin tells Frederica this time his response, the same response he gave Vladilena. She calls it a boring response and says, well, clearly that person must have been disappointed. Was Vladilena disappointed to hear that Shin never really had given the future any thought? I think she might have actually been sad, maybe just sympathized, or maybe just felt bad that he would never have that option, because obviously she was trying to give him that, but sadly it wasn't really something she could give. Shin's secret, the secret that he can hear the voices of the Legion. He tried to warn the Federal Republic The Federal Republic, not a saint, I think it's the way that they're not saints. However, the Federal Republic are the lesser of two evils. They are definitely better than San Magnolia. They are not perfect. They are not saints. Clearly, they overthrew their leaders and they were slain. But obviously, I'll do that with a hashtag there. I'm starting to view the Federal Republic as Russia and maybe San Magnolia, maybe Germany. I'm noticing these little links that there's a lot of links to Russia with the Federal Republic and you've got the overthrowing of the family and now they're a republic. Back to the future again, and whenever we think to the future, it seems to trigger the memories of Vladilina, and we have again another thought going out to Vladilina looking up at the moon, wondering if the Major is okay. Well, we, like you guys, we haven't seen Vladilina in some time now. I don't know if we're going to see her next episode. Feels like we don't know what's going on over there. Yes, admittedly, we left on a high note, but there's also worry because San Magnolia isn't listening, and the Legion are preparing a very big attack. And we even saw her uncle was very suspicious of Vladilina and her new crew. I want to know about the crew she's amassed. I want to know more about Henrietta and her new self because she's now with Vladilina. And obviously we had that very interesting scene in the first season, the first part. I even said that I wasn't keen on her. I just want to know why she's now changed her tune and why she's actually now actively supporting Vladilina. And I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy that she is supporting Vladilina. Another fantastic episode that draws many, many questions. I am always questioning when it comes to 86. I hope you guys are too enjoying the second part of 86 and the story continues. Thank you guys for tuning in again. I really hope you guys are having fun, making sure that you are enjoying, having good food, and looking after yourselves, because you deserve it. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.